Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's brief ag forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Again, in this video, I'm coming to you on Wednesday night. I'm going to be on travel for work all day on Thursday and just wouldn't get into it too late and wanted to make sure I got the analysis to you. So I'll resume my normal kind of pace with these videos on Monday and get back to my normal Monday, Thursday routine. But the map you've been looking at here shows you something that I am looking for to return. And what it shows here is that we ended up last week getting southwest flow out of the jet stream. It's been a long time since we've seen that. And what it ended up doing is opening the Gulf of Mexico to bring in, well, a pretty substantial ice storm, a severe weather outbreak over parts of Alabama, and then heavy snows to the north. Now, this particular setup where that jet stream really came out of the southwest did miss a lot of the upper Midwest, and of course it didn't hit California. And that brings me to an important point about what we've seen so far this year. There are numerous places, specifically the western part of the United States, this region right in through here in the upper part of the northern plains, or the western part of the northern plains, getting into the upper Midwest, that have been extremely dry. And of course we know that we have drought that's still entrenched here in the southern plains. So why I'm so interested in southwest flow in the jet stream is because whenever you get it, we open up moisture transport. All right. Right now we don't have that. The flow's coming around like this. And as you heard me say many times, that's a lot of convergence in the flow here, and it tends to be very, very dry. Plus, this particular pattern splits around California, which has sent most of California over into its now driest start to a year on record. Now, what I think is going to be the catalyst for the change is the shift we've seen in the MJO. Throughout November into December and January, we saw the MJO go from phase 5 quickly through phase 6 and spent a lot of time in phase 7 and 8. Then in late January, it collapsed into null space, and for the first time, it's emerged somewhere else other than the Western Pacific, specifically back into the Indian Ocean. And the forecast models have it sweeping through phases 3, 4, and 5 at high amplitude. And that is the first time in a while that the MJO has returned to this side of the planet. Now, this is what's important about that. When the MJO was back in phase 7 and 8, it produced a very short but powerful piece of the jet stream that was right in through here. There was a trough that seemed to sit over parts of India. And the significance of that was that the jet stream split over the Aleutian Islands. It came back together right here off the west coast, and throughout the month of December, when it was in phase 7, it just delivered a lot of moisture to California. And that's what brought in California's extremely wet December that has had to sustain it through the very dry time period we've been in since then. Well, this is what's different. The MJO is now out here, and it's sweeping around. And I've spent a lot of time in the last few videos talking about what that could mean to the overall jet stream pattern, specifically shifting things around in the Pacific. Well, here's the beginning of the shift. This is the jet stream level winds tonight on Wednesday night, and they are extended and fast. And historically, this is very consistent with the MJO coming back out in the Indian Ocean to see this kind of action. So the problem is the split is right here. Can this jet stream pattern, as it transitions from MJO 3 to 4 and 5, break this down? There are some indications that it can, and I want to show you the beginning of it right here. Now, we're going to watch throughout the next several days. I'll just take you back here. A pretty big ridge that's going to set up over the west, through the weekend especially. Deeper troughs in the east delivering some colder air. But what I want you to notice here is that as we play into next week, we still see a highly amplified pattern. But this is going to be our first of what I hope to be a very active end of February and start to March, with getting troughs to finally slide into this region. You see, when the jet stream ends up doing this, that will at least start to give us better precipitation, not only here in the southern plains, but possibly into the drier regions in the western and Corn Belt over toward the Great Lakes. This will certainly be an active storm track in through this area. Now, what I want you to watch next is what happens here between Greenland and the Canadian archipelago and Alaska. Ready? So as we play past the 16th into the 17th, 18th, 19th, let's just go out to the 20th. This is the shift that's most important. Lower heights here and here. Now, why did I put so much emphasis on that? See where the ridge is? It's back here. So the flow, if you follow the height contours, is now doing something like that. That's much more zonal or west to east flow, and while that's milder, it means that we're no longer punching a large ridge along the west, which means this will return better moisture to the west. This will improve moisture here throughout much of the rest of the country, And it's not just showing up in the European, which you'll see in a few seconds, but it's also showing up in the CFSV2. Week 3, this would be the 23rd of February through the 1st of March. Look at this. Better precipitation in the northwest. Better precipitation here in the southern plains even, getting into the Midwest, getting into places that need this moisture. And the European model's picking up on that as well. So the end of this month, week 3, getting into week 4, we're finally starting to see signals of a shift over what so far in 2022 has been a highly blocked pattern. Now, as we get all this going, the number one feature to be watching right now is still way over here off Japan. It does not look like much, but do you see that little wave right there? That's going to become potentially a large system that dives into the western United States and emerges in the southern plains. I'd like to show it to you, but now I'm going to look at the GFS. So what do we have? As we play through the end of this week, there's a big reinforcing shot of cold air coming through the upper Midwest, giving us some really cold mornings here Friday and Saturday. And then that same trough ends up delivering what could potentially be a system right off the Carolina coast on Sunday. I'll show you that in a few moments. But that's the little trough that I'm watching. That one, back at the beginning of this animation, was over here by Japan. What you see is that by Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday, that trough dives in here. And what we end up getting is a highly amplified flow on the back side of this. Now, what does all that mean? Well, you can see that as we play this out. Look at that. This is next Wednesday, the 16th. If this flow looks something like this, that's reason to push this trough farther to the south, and then it'll sweep out to run over the ridge that's upstream. Long story short, this is southwest flow. And as that trough sweeps through that area, let's try that again. There we go. That is going to potentially give us, from maybe next Tuesday through Thursday or Friday, a very active time period in through here. Let's look at it by looking at both the GFS on the left and the European on the right. A couple of things to think about first. There is, going into early Thursday morning, a trough that was producing a little clipper that went across the Great Lakes. It's in both models. And we let that first one go, and there's one that follows it. Comes out of the Canadian Prairie, the northern Canadian Prairie, and by Thursday evening is already over parts of Minnesota. On the backside of it, too warm to make snow, so we're going to see some rain here. But there's colder air east, and that slides through by Friday into the Great Lakes, delivering a round of precipitation. I'll show you the snowfall in a few moments, as I will also show you how much rain. So that one slides through, and just so you know, the Arctic high that's behind it, it's not as cold as what we've been seeing, but it will push some upslope flow against the mountains. We could get some snow in through here. This would be, Friday getting into Saturday. Now that same trough, once we get later into the weekend on Sunday, has been showing in the GFS to produce a pretty sizable system here just off the Carolina coast. Now the GFS has been most aggressive with this system, especially the 12Z run, which one you're looking at here, with producing the snow. But the 18Z run was much less vigorous with this. It looked more like the European solution over here. I'll show you the snowfall totals in a second. All right, because the GFS produces a deeper wave, it pulls it more quickly to the north. And I'll just say this. This is out there early next week. We got to watch it. We need to watch model trends. Depending on the depth or the strength of the high pressure on the backside, that will tell us if it does go out to open ocean like the European currently forecasts or hugs the coast like the GFS. At this point, I don't feel as though I'm watching the development of a major nor'easter, but I will watch the trend to see if it goes that direction. What comes in behind it shows up on Monday here in the northwest. That's the trough we're interested in. It slides through California, delivering rain to California. Some places getting some of this rain and snow have not measured snow or rain yet this year. And then that's the trough that comes out next Tuesday night through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now look at this. What I'm trying to show you here is not the details, but the fact that both models are predicting it. They've got high pressure out ahead of it, delivering the moisture. Then the system sweeps through, and the timing, everything's going to change, but be aware that this region and through here will likely open up to a chance of severe weather. We could be looking at issues with ice, and on the backside delivering some snow. And some of that snow could hit some ground that's very dry, which would be very beneficial. How much precipitation are we looking at of this? Well, through the next 5 days, it's just the clipper rolling through here in that weakened system here. But the European's not bringing in too much precip. Watch what happens after this, though. This is Tuesday. Here we go. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. See that? That's what happens when we return that southwest flow. From here, let's go talk about snow. This is how much snow we're expecting through the next 7 days from the European. So we have a strip in through here that could be picking up anywhere between 2 and 8 inches of snow, with more enhancement once you come through the Great Lakes. But late next week, we need to watch this region right in through here, which is a part of a region that's been in a snow drought, as that next system slides through. This is what the GFS is suggesting. And just I think the most important difference is the GFS, remember, is more aggressive on that system coming through here. Lots of stuff to watch. We'll just keep an eye on it. The ensembles are not picking up on that system, delivering a lot of snow. This is the chance of getting another 3 inches. It's not showing up. So it's all in that clipper track around the Great Lakes. But this right here is what I want to watch, because that's an area that, with that system coming out again next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the ensembles have been increasing the probability of picking up quite a few inches of snow in this area. Now, what happens after that? Well, remember, we developed the trough over Greenland, the trough over Alaska, more zonal flow, no big ridge still showing up in the models over the west. And as a result, the week 2 precipitation pattern, well, much of this is coming on that system next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we've seen it erode the dry conditions in the west with each new model run. The very good news about this is where it's delivering precipitation on the back side, some places that have been extremely dry. Now, talk temperatures to finish this up. We've already seen Wednesday's high temperatures. Let's get into Thursday. Got a quick shot at some cooler air here, but very mild once again here in the northern plains and across the west. In fact, they've had excessive heat warnings down here in Southern California. I do expect later this week some stronger winds in the Central Valley as well. As we go into Friday, we're going to watch the next setup right here for some really cold Arctic air to make a quick shot through. See it right there? So that's getting into Saturday. While the mild air runs up the East Coast, it is quickly replaced on Sunday into Monday with colder air. But once again, we open this back up for more mild conditions throughout the plains into Tuesday as well. Now, after that, that's when the system rolls through. So this is the setup ahead of that next big system. But day 5 through 10, still, this is what the pattern shows. The coldest air gets anchored between 2 troughs, one here and one that's developing here, which is why when you look out there beyond day 10, even out to day 15, we see more mild air in place because the coldest air gets trapped to the north. And you know what you get in that situation? More zonal flow. And that is a major shift over what we've seen so far in the month of January. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, or report back to you again on Monday. Thanks.